Welcome back. Well, former President Thabo Mbeki has told our senior political reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo in Conakry in Guinea he doesn't think South Africa will be able to host the BRICS summit physically in August. However, he says he also doesn't buy the story from the US ambassador that South African weapons were sold to Russia. Ziyanda joins us now from Conakry. Ziyanda, good afternoon to you. A series of important comments from the former president. What did he say?
Absolutely, Stephen. So in that wide-ranging interview with the former president, he was quite clear that he doesn't believe that South Africa has the capacity to arrest Vladimir Putin, firstly, but also that he doesn't think that the summit could take place in South Africa. So yes, the BRICS summit can take place, but perhaps maybe not in South Africa. We don't know whether or not he's hinting or intimating towards the South African government on how to deal with this. But he basically said, let the process led by Deputy President Paul Mashatile unfold. Let's hear what he had to say.
Whether it's going to be possible to host a BRICS summit in South Africa, I'm not sure about that. The other BRICS works will continue without no problems. But this one particular instance, because I think it would be, I don't think South Africa would not have the strength and the will to arrest a president of another country. So how they deal with that consequence, I really don't know. We have to wait for what the Deputy President of the Republic, Paul Mashatile, will say with regard to that. There's been this question raised that South Africa must not pull out of the ICC. There are procedures in the agreement for how you pull out. You can't just wake up in the morning and say, today I'm pulling out. You did no notice of withdrawal and all of that. So it would, if South Africa decided to withdraw now, the processes to withdraw would still be in place by August. South Africa will not have resigned by August.
Well, the former president also telling our senior political reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo his views on what's happening with the war in Ukraine.
The African continent has intervened at that level. I think it's important because that conflict, apart from anything else, has affected the continent very directly. Because a lot of the wheat that we get on the continent comes from there. A lot of the fertilizer that we get comes from there. And when there's a conflict, it interrupts those two. So even at the last AU summit, the matter of the fertilizer was raised. Because there are many countries on the continent that have not been able to use fertilizer because of the conflict. And that produces food insecurity. So I'm saying it's important that the African continent intervenes at that senior level and hopefully succeed. Specifically, the law prohibits the export of weapons to countries that are in conflict. It's prohibited. So if there had been weapons sent out, that person must be arrested and charged. It would be illegal, I'm saying, in terms of our own law. So I didn't believe the story that was said by the ambassador. But if I had been asked, I would have said there's no such thing that happened. What happened on that boat, I don't know, I wasn't there. But the movement of weapons, I think, is quite unlikely. In any case, South Africa does not produce weapons of the sophistication that the Russians are using. We don't have the capacity.
Well, Stephen, you'll also know that there was comments by the former president regarding those astonishing claims by the U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Ruben Brigady, where he said that South Africa supplied arms to Russia. Mbeki saying that he highly doubts that South Africa has the ability to produce the kind of sophisticated artillery that Russia would need to continue waging its war in Ukraine. Let's listen to what he had to say on that earlier.
specifically the law prohibits the export of weapons to countries that are in conflict. It's prohibited. So if there had been weapons sent out, that person must be arrested and charged. It would be illegal, I'm saying in terms of our own law. So I didn't believe the story that was said by the ambassador. But if I had been asked, I would have said there's no such thing that happened. What happened on that boat, I don't know, I wasn't there. But the movement of weapons, I think, is quite unlikely. In any case, South Africa does not produce weapons of the sophistication that the Russians are using. We don't have the capacity.
Former President Thabo Mbeki speaking, of course, our senior political reporter Ziyanda Ngcobo.